What does me hanging on the side of this cliff, this client journey, and Adam as a fitness coach making $95,000 in a single month after making about $5,000 a month about a year ago when we first started working together? Well, today I'm going to share with you the most valuable client success principle and lesson that I've learned, and how you can take this, apply it into your own business to help your clients get results like this. And just did $24,000 in 2 days. Jacob, $2,000. Matthew, he started a few months ago. Now he's making $16,000 a month. Sean did his first $100,000 a month. I remember he was at like 10K a month, and now he's coming to our next mastermind in June here in my hometown. But nonetheless, one of the biggest things that you must learn when it comes to delivering the best possible client results is the power of a straight line. Now, let me explain. If we look at the scaling funnel here, right? This hinges on getting incredible client results, right? Because this is like our top of funnel, our traffic source with their ads. This is our middle of funnel sales assets to warm up and nurture the leads. And this is our setter and closer combo to close them, or DM close. And then once they're a customer, this is where the magic happens. See, it's a wide foundation. It's the base. Without this base, the funnel tips over and you go out of business. And I don't want that for you. And so when you nail all of these, the onboarding, the course, the community, and the coaching calls, you probably can't see that, but let me zoom in. Then it spits out client results, right? And then those results follow this line up here, and then boom, go right back into the same thing. And it's a self-fulfilling feedback loop. Now, I want to share a story with you to really drive this point home and show you how you can apply this into your coaching business to actually make money. And if you want like a full breakdown of like my client journey and everything too, I have another YouTube video right here, my $3.5 million coaching business client success system breakdown. It's 53 minutes and it's an absolute banger. I cover everything in a lot more detail there. But nonetheless, let me take you way back. So this is a mountain, and this is called Mount Curry. It's a big boy. And the summit is right here. This is the very top, right? It looks like this one would be, but it's actually this guy over here. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because me and a couple buddies set out to climb this a few years ago. We're like, all right, we're going to climb this big sucker, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There was a brand new trail that like they just built, and we had this app on our phone called All Trails, where it shows you all of like, literally like GPS locations you and like pinpoints you on a trail so you can see like where you're going, and it's super helpful. However, the problem was there was no All Trails trail, like there was no log for this mountain, for Mount Curry. And that meant that me and the boys were going in blind. And so we brought overnight stuff, and because we knew it was going to be a 2-day trip. And so you start like way over here, like way down here, and then it's actually like probably more so over here. And then you go up here. This trail was pretty well done. It was like, I don't know, probably like a year old maybe. And they just built it, and it was good. So we actually camped right here. We camped the meadows. This is our point A, let's say. And this journey took us about 5 hours to get up. And it was one of like the steepest trails that I've done. I've climbed a lot of mountains. And so we camped here at point A. This is called the meadows, right? Right at the top of the tree line. And then the problem is it was very hot. This was in the middle of August. It was like 32 Celsius, which is probably like 95-ish, 90, 95 Fahrenheit. And it was smoking hot. Now, we also had a ton of weight on our back, so we didn't pack very much. And by the time we got to camp and set up, we ran out of water, and that sucked. And we had the craziest night's sleep. I remember like waking up like the whole night. I don't even know if I slept, but it sounded like there was like animals like walking around the tent. I was like having these weird like hallucinations. It was very, very weird. I think I was just super dehydrated, maybe a little bit of elevation as well. And it was pretty crazy. And so we woke up in the morning with a dilemma. We're like, all right, do we try to get to point B? Do we try to just push for the summit even though we have no water? And we don't really know where we're going, because the trail, this 5 hours here from the parking lot to the first campsite, that was really well built through the trees. It was very clear. But once we got above the tree line, there's no trees and there's no dirt. It's just all rocks and it looks like this. And so you don't really know where the hell you're going. You don't really know the trail. And so because there was nobody that laid out the path in front of us, we didn't really know what we were going to do. We just said, all right, we roughly know that the summit's up here somewhere. And I think we just kind of go in a straight line and go up. And so that's what we did, right? We said, you know what, screw it. We ditched all of our camping gear. We brought one backpack with just food and the rest of our water. We're like, all right, boys, let's go. Now, this picture is probably taken in like early summer, late spring. So you can see there's lots of snow up top still. Late August, or mid to late August when we did it, there was like hardly any snow. And that meant hardly any water. And we took a gamble. We're like, all right, boys, we're just going to do it. And then worst case, we turn around, whatever, right? And so we did it. And so we left camp and we got to this little peak, right? And we climbed up, we hiked up this peak, and then we're like, cool. And then we got to the peak and we're like, shit, there's another one. The summit's actually up there. And again, like, we're going at this blind. We don't have a guide. We don't know really where the trail is because no one really had done it before. And obviously people have, but not many. And so the trail wasn't broken in and like, there is really no trail is what I'm trying to say. And then we're like, okay, we're climbing up here and we get to that false peak and we're like, shit, that's also not the top. And then we had this weird dilemma because this was a really sketchy, spiny ridge. And we're like, do we keep pushing? Because we think the summit's right here, even though it's over here, right? And we're like, do we do it or not? And so we're like, that looks really, really sketchy to like traverse up there. And so what we did is we went down here behind it and we found a stream. We found water. Thank God. Otherwise we wouldn't have made it. Probably. We probably would have, like, we were pretty cooked at this point. And it was super hot, like bright sunny day like this again. And anyways, so then we went around and then we tried to go back up to this point. But the problem with that is, again, it wasn't the right summit. It wasn't the actual summit. So we got up here and then we're like, oh man, we just wasted so much time climbing this peak, going down and then climbing this one again. Think about all the time and energy, limited food, limited water spent climbing that, like all three of these peaks that were not even essential, that we didn't even have to. And then finally we went back down on the other side. So not this side. This is the north face. We went down the south face, facing the sun. And then we climbed up again, right, to the actual one. But even then we kind of made a bit of a mistake. And you can see it in this video. We went down here, and then here's me climbing up this ridge.
Following the.
We didn't even have to go down here. We could have just hiked up the ridge. So my buddy climbed up here and then came back around, and we could have just stayed along the ridge line. And then there's the summit right there. But we didn't. And so we had to climb up this super sketchy part, and then it was super loose and just not very pleasant at all. And so that was a huge delay as well. And you can even see right here, when we finally did get to the summit, so left the car, so mid-August, left the car at 3:30, set up camp 5 hours later, woke up at 5:30, left at 6:30, and then we summited by 11:30, so another 5 hours. So it took us 10 hours total to get to the summit. Time for lunch, took a few wrong turns, but we made it. Now, that's the point of this video, right? The point of this video is to help you help your clients get from point A to point B in the fastest way possible, in the most efficient way possible. We could have shortened this 10-hour trip down to probably 6 or 7. Probably 7. If we didn't climb this one, climb this one, climb this one, go down, climb the wrong one, and then go back down again, and then back up to the summit right there, or wherever, there we go, right in this one, right? If we had a guide, if we had a trail, if we had a marker, like something to tell us where to go, we literally could have avoided all of these peaks. We could have just went down this way, and on the other side, you go around through this valley, and then you go straight up. So you're not climbing, descending, ascending, descending, ascending, and then descending again, and then doing the same thing again. Right? You're literally just like, we could just went all the way around. And so on the way down, that's what we did. We're like, oh my gosh, boys, like we messed up. And so right there, we literally could could have just went down all the way around back here, and we were back there in like an hour. And it was brutal. And obviously hindsight is 2020. You can see like the steps that got you here. However, we didn't know that at the time because we didn't have a guide. And like if you look at the map here, we parked down here near the racetrack, and then we climbed up here. We camped around here at the meadows. We summited, curried. We summited this guy, and then we did this guy too. And then we went down, and then we went up here, got up to here, and then we're like, no, that ain't it. And then so we went down here and then up here. Whereas we literally could have just went right here. Like from here, we could have just went right here around all of that through the valley to get to the summit. So that's what we did on the way back, right? And then this was like an hour. Instead, this took us 5 hours of climbing and descending, and it absolutely sucked. And so the point that I want to drive home here is if you don't have a very clear process to get your clients from point A to point B, then you're not going to get very good client results. Now, there's a difference between having a process between point A and point B and actually helping them do the same thing. So for example, let me show you. This is our onboarding process. I won't get into that too much, but let's say like right here, client signed up. Now, here's where the magic happens. They sign up, they get an onboarding call with my CSM. And then within a few days, after that call, that kind of prepares them. They get an onboarding call, there's the actual onboarding call, and then they book in a one-on-one call with me, right? And so right here, the onboarding call tells them what they need to do, gives them the homework, and now they know exactly what they need to do to prepare for the call with me. And so then I have that call with them. And then what happens after that is what I used to do is I used to just like somebody would pay, and then cool, we get a one-on-one, and then it's like, cool, now you're in the group, right? And unfortunately, that's what most programs are like. And what I learned from that is like, they still need that process, right? Like for example, the map got us from like the trail on all trails, got us from the parking lot to the campsite, but it didn't get us from the campsite to the summit, right? And so what I was doing is only getting people from the parking lot to the campsite. And then I was assuming that they kind of would be able to figure out the rest of the way. And what that does is it lets people feel, or makes people feel kind of like lost. And that's not what you want to do. You want to make them feel like you are a trusted guide who's traveled this journey so many times, and you're right there holding their hand, helping them with every single step, because all these steps suck, right? This was a grueling trip. And it sucked, right? Now, it was awesome when we got to the summit, but the trip up there could have been much, much more enjoyable and much more pleasant if it looked like this. They pay, we have a one-on-one, and then we have another one-on-one, and then we have another one-on-one check-in, and then we have another check-in, and then we have another check-in, right? And so now this is what it looks like. And so forget the chicken scratch. This is from that other video that I mentioned here. I just haven't erased it yet. But from there, it's like, cool, onboarding's complete. Now we have check-in calls. Boom, boom, boom. And so what it looks like right now is when somebody signs up, and the reason I'm making this video too is because we had a client join last week, and on my team call yesterday, my CSM was like, dude, he's like, he was kind of giving my closer shit because my closer our new client told my CSM that my sales guy didn't do a good enough job of communicating the value that you actually get inside of the program, because they're blown away. They're like, dude, I didn't even think this was a thing. I didn't even know that this was like part of it. And so what we have right now, again, learned from my mistakes of kind of just like throwing people into the group versus leading them from point A to point B. Like the difference between that and this is like, it's like a river and a stream, right? It's like what you want is things to look like this. Point A, point B, and then you just guide them through that river. It's a very straight line versus most people, and this is what I used to do. There's a river and then a big fucking ocean. And now the prospect gets in here and then they're like, what do I do now? Or sorry, the client. And then they're kind of just like stuck and they're plateauing. They're not really sure because they've never traveled the journey before, right? Point B is over here, but they don't know how to get there. There's a block here. And so that's really what I want to nail home in this video is like, you have to be that guide. You have to get them along each way or along each step of the way to that final destination. And so right now, how we have it set up is like, we have that initial onboarding call with my CSM first thing. And then we have a launch call with me where we go over like offer positioning, messaging, ads, marketing strategy, that kind of stuff. And then we launch. And then from there we have, I think it's including this, but it's 5 one-on-ones in the first 5 weeks. And then from there we do bi-weekly. And then even like every like 3 to 4 weeks after that as clients need it. Just kind of like as per request. And then, so whenever somebody feels like they need help, then we're like, cool, we'll give you that. And then get you back on track and then go from there. And so that's the difference between being reactive with your client success and being proactive, right? Reactive is like, let's take their money, maybe have a one-on-one call and then throw them in the group, throw them in this big bloody ocean for them to kind of just figure it out. And again, I used to do this and it like, I learned from my mistakes. It still worked. Don't get me wrong. It still worked. We had lots of people go from A to B. However, now just the feedback that we're getting of like from clients going through the program is bananas. It's like night and day from what it used to be because of the structure. So you want to add order to the chaos. And this is like, it's such a simple concept and a lot of fitness coaches absolutely nail this, right? Weekly check-ins and stuff like that. But most other coaches don't really get the concept. I know I didn't at first too. Maybe I was just like, I'm just trying to make a bunch of money. I don't know. Right. And I think I just assumed that like everyone else is very similar to me and like very like self-starter and just like, okay, I'm just going to fucking figure it out, put my head down and roll my sleeves up and grind. And like, that's like describing Adam to a T here. Like this guy's an absolute savage. And like when he joined a year ago, right after he joined, he had $500 left in his account, literally $500 to his name. And 4 months later, I was hosting a client retreat in Marbella, Spain, and it was not cheap. I think it was like $10K a person. And he's like, bro, I need to come to that retreat. I promise, like, can you save my spot? I promise by that time, 4 months from now, I will earn the right to be there. I promise you that. I said, all right, brother, let's make it happen. Sure enough, in 16 weeks leading up to it, he had his first $50,000 month right before flying out to Spain. And then that was in September, and now he doubled about 6 months later. And maybe a little bit more, 7, 8, I don't know. I can't math right now, but you get the point. And not many people are like that. Whereas like that was just an assumption that I made, but you have to like, if you think about like a distribution, like a standard deviation, it's okay. I can't draw for shit today. Apologize. But if you think about it like this, it's like you're going to have most people here who like, well, on the left side, this is like people like no results and then like lots of results. And then people in the middle are just like kind of like average, right? They're average results. And what I think happens is like you have to build your program for this average, unfortunately, right? We want to work with the people that get lots of results and take like lots of accountability and action. Accountability and action. Again, I can't draw today. But we have to build it for the average, right? We don't even want to attract these people who just like are kind of just like lazy and they don't really do anything. Like you can't save somebody that doesn't want to be saved. That's the way I see it, right? But it's like 80-20. Maybe this is like 10%, this is 10%, and then this is like 80% of the clients that you work with. Previously, I was just optimizing for this. I'm like, I'm just going to work with the guys that are just ready to be absolute animals. Now I'm like, you know what? I realize like, even if they are animals, there's still something that might be unclear to them. And there still might be something that's like not really clicking. And so you got to build the program, design it for this 90%, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to help get somebody from point A to point B so much faster, from deal close to ready for ascension, graduation, and have an awesome YouTube interview with me. And then, yeah, see if they want to continue working together. And that's the difference between trying to climb a mountain on your own with zero guidance versus having a guide pulling you every step of the way, so it can save you hours and hours and hours, or days and weeks and months and years of grinding it out, not seeing any results, and honestly not really having that much fun as you do it, right? Like Danielle, for example, closeout April is the best revenue month over the last 12 months. Great client results and feedback, felt fun and easy. That is all, right? That doesn't happen by accident. That happens, great client results, that happens by dialing in your process, getting somebody from point A to point B, dialing in your client journey, and making sure this is all laid out. And again, if you want to go deeper on that, just go check out this video. I'll link it down below and at the end of this one. But that's it. Take some value from this, go apply this, add some more structure to your program, get better results. You'll make way more money and have way more fun and fulfillment as you do it. Bye.